Good morning, everybody. This is Jack Leeson with Startuptrading.com. Just make sure this is running two computers right now. It is Wednesday, October 14th, 2020. Economic news in the overnight session. We had a speech from ECB President Lagarde. There's big moves in the currencies that I'm going to go over. I titled this video Great Reactions to the Pound and the Euro on the daily chart, and we're going to go over those markets and talk about what exactly it is that I'm referring to. This morning, an hour before the bell, PPI and core PPI, both of those numbers were a beat. And then MPC member Haldane will be speaking as I'm giving this video, as well as FOMC member Clarita is speaking. At 10:30 for the Canadian dollar, member Lane will be speaking, and then Quarles for the U.S. markets will be speaking. Red Star news events, unemployment rates, and the employment change for the Australian dollar, as well as a RBA Governor Lowe speaking at 5:45. So Red Star news events for the Australian dollar, and then there's really nothing Red Star till Friday when we're gonna have core retail sales for the U.S. markets. All right, I'm gonna start off with those two currencies I had mentioned, the euro and the pound. Take a look here at this daily chart. I know it's a little choppy. I'm going to just actually get rid of all of these drawings real quick. And you guys can kind of just see. I want to focus on the full 50% retracement from the swing low of the 25th of September to high. Just a perfect touch there for the euro. It was a 117.21. Our upside target is a 118.81s. Anytime you trade a 50% retracement, and I'm going to go back to my other draws, and then react to the tick like we have here in the euro, it's very important to pay attention to that market. We also have a very clear range expansion off of that. This reminds me of the euro pound move yesterday, which I threw in the trade room. But the full 50% retracement would be a picture perfect entry at the 117.44 here. If we could pull back into that level, that'd be a gift to enter into this trend where you can see this expansionary move. Basically, look at this. We go sideways for like 12 hours, get above it off of that touch. If we can come into that 117.44, and I would even front run that. That would be a fantastic entry into the potential long trend. Moving on to the pound, very similar setup. We're going to go to the daily chart. That's a weekly chart. And there's a daily chart. Once again, same thing. The low, except this low is the September 23rd low to the high. Yesterday, or actually I should say 2 days ago, we came off a 50% retracement short. Then we sold off in 2 days into a halfway back daily leg start. Okay, there's a daily leg start here, 50% retracement long. Absolutely fantastic support. Unfortunately, I wasn't at my desk when this traded. I would have loved to have been there when it did, but we have just ripped off of that. And not only did we rip off of that super technically, but if you go to the 5-minute chart, there was a beautiful long setup. And this was all right at 5 o'clock in the morning, which I believe there was a news event that kind of caused that spike. We traded a 50% retracement. It was actually front run by 3 pips. We've gone straight up here. We're going traditionals to extensions. Extremely technical, extremely aggressive. 128.77 was that 50% entry. The upside target is going to be the 131.78. So we're going to be bullish above this extension going into the morning, and even if we break that, we have the next traditional below. But definitely some serious action coming off that support level there for the pound. Moving on to the USDCAD, which also traded the extension that was in the morning trade plan. The 38% retracement from yesterday was a 131.53. Now that traded during the Asian session, and we have rotated off of that level. Our downside targets are a 130.65 and the 131.53. I still trust in a second test, and we have the 131.70. Our two resistance levels above with the downside target of a 130.65 here for the USD-CAD. And then actually, let me go the other way here. The Aussie dollar came into our 50% retracement long. And remember, we have the Red Star news event here. The low going back to Tuesday of last week to high. We traded it. We just did come into the 61, but I still consider this move valid. It really wasn't a trend break. It was just a pierce, which when I see like a little bit of a pierce and then a move instantly back above in a slower time frame, I still consider this a valid move. Remember, we have those red star news events, so our upside target here is going to be a 72.73, and you can actually see that the lows of yesterday high here had a traditional complete targets. I'm just going to continue to watch the traditional sequence from the lows of the week to high. Right now that's a 71.69 would be that full 50% retracement for the Aussie dollar. And then moving on to the USDJPY, I had mentioned in the trade plan, or in the Jack's room in the startup trading Discord this morning when we were trading up towards like a 105.27, that we are basically below the last two leg starts. So those two white dots were below both of those levels on the 1 hour. We're below them on the 4 hour, okay? And we're also below them on the 5 minute. And this is a startup trading indicator package. And when we do that, well, at the time we were below the 5 minute, but we just put one in. When we do that, it's just very aggressive selling here, coming into a daily low. I don't have any support until we trade the full 50% retracement long, which is a 105.04, and we came out of a 50% retracement front run by 5. That's a super aggressive front run. There was a next traditional measured move. Okay, we have completed those profit targets. What I would look for as far as our next entry, conservatively speaking, there is a more aggressive sequence, but on the hourly chart, if we could rotate into 105.31, that would be the more conservative traditional here. But there is an extension that's actually holding. There is an extension that's holding here. I'm just not going to draw it up because it's on the smaller time frame, and I don't like to go over the smaller time frame in the videos because it changes too often. Moving on to oil, which traded a perfect traditional on Monday. We talked about that, did a little quiz in the room yesterday on which market was coming off this daily sequence. Is halfway back long, 39.05s. We had a traditional to target yesterday. We had our next traditional. We had one test, and then the overnight session we had two third test, rip, completed targets, halfway back long for the day. Next valid measured move here, that's going to be a 40.34 and also a retest of this trend line break ideally. So I'm going to move this little box up. Really like that setup here for oil. Higher time frame targets all the way up at 42.61. Very technical move out of lows. And just like the pound in the euro today, paying attention to the markets that react to daily setups and then looking and specifically focusing on those markets the following day is a really good way to pick or have a good trade selection. Moving on to the NASDAQ, I still would like to see this lower level trade here. Perry kind of went over the indexes. He said expect inside a choppy day. I still have the same feeling for the indexes. My ideal trade setup here in the NQ is if we get down, let me delete this. I'm not even going to keep this on. If we could get down to a 11,923. I want to see us take out lows and then reverse. Everything inside yesterday's range, I'm not interested in. I'm going to keep it simple there. Moving on to the Dow, which yesterday in the trade plan, we had the 28,508, 38% retracement support level. Perfect touch, rotated back up. Didn't quite get back down there for a second test. Once again, inside yesterday's range. The two levels I'm going to pay attention to are the same today as they were yesterday. It's a 28,404 and a 28,508. Those are the only two levels here I'm interested in the Dow. Moving on to the S&P 500. Yesterday we waited all day long for one level, 3,500 half. We held it, stayed above the 61. We did dip into that level. We held it here again. Just continue to watch 3,500 half. If we break below, the next level I have is a 34.79.75 and then 34.61 quarter. So, be aware of those levels. 34.61 quarter, 34.79 half, and 3,500 half. That's all I'm looking at. All right. And then the Russell Beautiful extension. Yesterday we were looking at the 1621.3, just missed it. We got 1623, 1622.6. So it was a 13 tick front run, and then there was a smaller traditional sequence out of that low. But we've retested this 38 here, so we can just continue to pay attention to this hourly level. It's a 1628.4. 1628.4 is that 38, and then below 1621. Upside targets are 1666. Silver and gold catching a bid here. Now, yesterday, these were the highlights that I was looking for, but we got way further down than I had anticipated. There was just some very aggressive selling going into the morning, but we've picked back up here, and there was a traditional sequence that I want to follow here in silver. Now, if silver gets up a bid through 24.72 this morning, it will go into an extension, but right now I'm going to be a little more conservative and just use this next traditional to swing low from 24.20 half too high, giving me a support level at 24.44 half. 24.44 half is going to be the first support level I'm looking for here in the silver market. Moving on to gold. Really strong move. Same thing yesterday. We were looking for those support levels, but it was just a crash in the morning, and we retested, and then of course took out some stops in the overnight session. And I've drawn this trend line here just for reference. As of right now, if we get up through 1920, we'll go extension to extension. But other than that, the only thing I really would pay attention to is the full. There's this strange extension here from a 5-minute candle. So let me actually go to a 5-minute chart. I'll show you guys where this extension is coming from. It's already traded 2 times to target, but there was a micro halfway back coming out of this low here that was put in during the Asian session. It was just enough to take all the stops out, and that high to high is traded once to target, twice to target. You can see we're right up at that negative 61. So if we blast through this negative 61, you can see that there's going to be an extension to extension here. So the two possible sequences, if we get a completion, if we get that new high, we'll go extension to extension. But at this point, if you're not in this trade, do not take it. Wait till it completes, take the same anchor new high, or wait for the full extension from the original anchor. Those are the only two setups here to pay attention to. But very powerful move of the currencies. I do expect the indexes to not be so exciting today. We've kind of already traded our support levels in the overnight session, but the pound is technical, the euro is technical, the CAD is technical, the USDJPY is technical, and we have technical moves in gold and silver. So pick and select your markets carefully. Everybody, have a wonderful day. Trade safe, and I'll see all of you guys in the Startup Trading Discord. If you're not a member, click the link below, and feel free to share this video with anybody who you think might be interested in learning technical analysis or more about futures trading. Really appreciate the thumbs up. Everybody have a wonderful day. Take care.